Hello and welcome to today's session. Thank you so much for joining here today. We're very pleased to introduce you to this program here at Rice. This program is a professional certificate in human resource management. So this program is going to take you end to end and give you everything you need to know to get face to face with building your career here in human resources. Here on this session, we're going to be hearing from the program faculty who designed this program. I'll be introducing him in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to learn all about who you are as a community and learn more about Rice University as well. So a lot in store here today as we learn not only what this course contains, but also how this course is delivered. So let's go ahead and get started. Firstly, I want to introduce you as well to our program advising team. They are here with us live throughout your viewing here today. If you have any questions, please do put them in the question and answer box. We're going to be answering those throughout in the back end via typed text. And we're also going to be following up by email. So if we don't get to your question today, you can expect an email within 12 to 24 hours. So please let us know what's on your mind as we make our way through learning more about this professional certificate in human resource management at Rice. So without further ado, I now have the great pleasure and honor of introducing today's keynote speaker and program faculty, Dr. Jeff Frey, who is here with us to tell us all about this program. You can see here he's the VP of Innovation, a graduate level educator, intra-entrepreneur, professor of management, and the Hesse J. Jones Graduate School of Business at Rice University. He combines his passion for teaching with his real-world experience in business ownership to bring past, present, and potential for the human side of the future of work to his students. So welcome, Dr. Jeff Frey. I'm going to invite you into our fireside chat to say hello. We'd love to hear more about you, your background, and what brought you to this program.
Yeah, thanks everybody. I appreciate you being here. And I'm really excited that you are thinking about joining this program with me. My background, very quickly, I was an IT guy. I got a master's degree in computer science, 20 plus years ago or so. And heads down coder, shove food under the door, don't make eye contact with people. That's where I was at. I realized that wouldn't get me very far in my existence. And so I started in on this journey of humans and learning them and all that. I got an MBA from Rice, so I did that there. And then I still need a little bit more. I got a PhD in emotional intelligence, of all things, for a tech guy to go out and venture to do. And these were spaced out along my career of 10 years later, then 10 years later, and this and that. I know a lot about emotional intelligence. I might not necessarily have still a lot of emotional intelligence, but I study humans now and I study work and I study artificial intelligence and interesting things with tech and humans that are happening right now. And the most fascinating thing to me is the human side of work. The most fascinating thing to me is how can we, as an individual, as a team, as a group, as a society, as a company, how can we as humans engage and get the most out of our existences? And a lot of times that involves work, that involves family, that involves life and all kinds of other things. But in this case specifically, I believe that in human resources I'm going to go with one of the most important positions that you can have is inside a company in human resources, because you're dealing with that human side of work. And that's what this program is going to do, step you through all of those pieces, parts of that HR specialist, that HR journey, that HR management. That's what that'll do.
Yeah, thank you for putting this program together. We know the future of work is changing at a rapid, breaknecking pace right now. And so as we think about all the changes ahead, having that human-centric approach is such a wise choice as you're thinking about all the different changes on the landscape with artificial intelligences and all the different ways it's changing the future of work, and really having that human-centric approach to leadership. So thank you for putting this course together. There's never been a better time thinking about these topics. So let me go ahead and reshare out the slides. I'm going to introduce our audience here to the broader community here at Rice University. So what sets Rice University apart? It's a technology-driven world. They understand that here at Rice University, and that drives the pedagogical approach to these programs. So they understand that this is a world that demands strategic, globally focused leadership. And so what they've done here at Rice University is they've taken the incredible wealth of knowledge housed within this world-class institution, and they've made that available and accessible to all of you in order to deliver on that promise of having an impact and having that globally focused leadership. Here at Rice University, you are going to be learning from world-renowned business leaders here, such as Dr. Frey here today on the session. And throughout your time in these programs, you're going to gain all of the tools, the frameworks to not only learn what you need to learn, but to put that learning into action and propel your career forward. So welcome each and every one of you to this global community of over 250,000 learners from all reaches of the earth, learning shoulder to shoulder in this lifelong learning journey with programs such as this one here at Rice University. We're so pleased to have you with us. We want to make sure that high level of support that you'll be receiving in this program starts right here today with watching this webinar and getting connected with a program advisor. As I mentioned before, they're joined here in the chat box, in the question box. If you have any questions, let us know. Any questions about this program, your community, or what you can expect from your learning experience. So let's go ahead and talk more about this program in particular here in Human Resources Management. And this is where I'd love to invite you back in, Dr. Frey, to talk a little bit more about your hopes and dreams for this program as you thought about its impact. And we see some statistics here on the screen about the growth rates here. At a historic high. There's 168,000 plus unique job postings for HR managers last year alone. And you can see the projected value of this market here. But from a more personable standpoint, I would love to hear from you as the designer of this program. And again, I'll invite you back in to the screen, to the fireside chat here. What did you have in mind when you put this program together in terms of its impact for the folks who learn from this program, as well as the industries and the global footprint that it'll leave?
Yeah, I'm a real world kind of person. So I don't want to down any faculty members. I'm a faculty member, right? But individuals who have not necessarily been out in the market and then come back into academia, that's kind of me. So I've been a C-level executive at corporations. I've come back in, and I know the impact that an HR manager can have on a workforce. And as I think about the human side of work, and I said this a little bit before, I think this position, these types of people, these individuals who have a knack for doing this and then have the skills to be able to do it, I think that to me is, again, one of the most crucial positions that you can have in the upcoming 5, 10, 20, and beyond years here in the human side of work. The impact that I would say is the individuals that go into the marketplace and they have an interest in this, but maybe not the knowledge on how to do it or all the different aspects, can honestly be a little harmful to the organizations. And so I'm really interested as we go through this program, and you all will get to see, we'll walk through and step through the modules and things. I'm interested in getting that well-rounded individual that understands those pieces, parts of that organization. And maybe that's not exactly where you're going to focus your position or your job or thing. You mentioned all those open positions. It's a wide swath, right? There's everything. Every module that we've got has a specific position that you could take in each one of those, right? And then the HR manager, of course, gets on top of that and looks over all of it. So I feel as if, even though you may not have a position that has to do anything with these 2, 3 modules, something like that, they're all very necessary to understand how that works so that you can enter an organization and be a help to it and not necessarily harm to it. So as I developed the content, as I went through with subject matter experts, we introduced this to a lot of good individuals in the marketplace and said, could you help us with this? Could you help us refine this? Could you help us go through? And so this is kind of real world here as you go through, and it will set you up to enter into an organization and be one of those very impactful HR managers.
And that's exactly what we want, is that real world approach to learning. We know now the half-life of skills today is about 5 years. It takes every 5 years, the skills will be obsolete, the skills of today. Programs like this that are lifelong learning programs that allow folks to come in and continue along that journey of lifelong learning, getting the skills that they need to continue to grow their career. It has to be in a real world applied sense, because folks are taking these programs from their homes and incorporating their learning as they go in their real world jobs. So it's an exciting opportunity, I think, to be able to do that, to really integrate your learning with your career that you're currently in, with your job that you're currently in, and see these things come to life. So
Yeah, same thing, very applicable, right? Attempting to, as we go through, to not just say, maybe I'll use this someday in my future existence, or maybe I'll never use this. We've all been through some type of education where we go, well, I don't know if I'm ever going to use this. These, you hopefully no one ever says that about even a little tiny piece of this, that they could use it tomorrow. They say, oh, when I go home later today, or when I go out tomorrow, I'm going to use what I just heard right there. That's the goal.
Truly a deep skills building experience here. Let's go ahead and reshare out the slides. We'd love to hear more of your perspectives here about who the course was designed for. So you put this course together, and this is the reason why everyone's here today right now with us viewing this session, is to determine the answer to this question: who should take this program? Is this course right for me? So from a high view, if you're a recent graduate, an early career professional, an intern, assistant executive, a generalist, really looking to make that reach into HR leadership. If you're a professional who works alongside closely with HR, such as administrative assistants, management trainees, consultants, and other who are informal transitioning to an HR role, this course is going to help you to make those connection points as well. And of course, consultants, entrepreneurs, small business owners, those who are growing and managing companies. This course, as Dr. Frey mentioned, has a wide swath of applicability. So this course was really designed for you. The profile that we had in mind of an ideal candidate, Dr. Frey, would love to hear from you. You put this course together, and I know you've touched on this already, but I would love to hear your perspectives. Was there a certain geography, industry, work experience level that you were homing in on when you put the course together, or are you really aiming to broaden out these frameworks? And
whenever we get asked things like that, I say, that's good for anybody. And then you go, really, is it really? Yeah, though, when you say that, oh yeah, anybody could do this. And so I can't stand it when people say that, but this is that. And what I'll say is, folks who are job changers, folks who are, I deal with a lot of individuals right now who are returning students, individuals who, hey, they're in a good position. That's great. They want to do something a little bit different, get another higher position, do job changers, people coming out of the military, those folks that want to have a knack for HR, and maybe people is an easy thing for you. And maybe dealing with folks is something that's really interesting. Honestly, I think if there's that inkling, if there's that kind of, this would be really helpful to not only make that job change or be able to say, hey, look, I do know what I'm doing. Look, I went through this program and it's not just book knowledge. Here's what we had to do. Here's the portfolio of work that I did. That is going to get the next level position. That's going to get the job, but it's also going to get an awareness of that. So as I said, we were passing this by some other individuals, and I passed it by non-HR folks that work in a company. And a couple of them said, yeah, I want to take that because I want to understand what my HR folks do better than that. So this is honestly a knowledge across that entire spectrum. And so you got up on the slide there, recent graduates, early career professionals. Absolutely. Hey, I want to take that next step into HR. And then the professionals working side by side, what we talked about, even outside of HR, but inside HR. And then going through Rice, I was in the entrepreneurship program. I've started a couple companies and sold them and gone through that process and things. And the hardest part for me was the HR side of that work. Having this type of a program for an individual who is thinking about becoming their own boss or is part of a small company or small business, understanding that this works for that too. It might not be all of the above, right? Oh, everybody, but I'd say individuals who are interested in human resources in one way, shape, or form is looking at those positions that are out there, that all those positions that are open in HR in one of those spectrum, and going, wow, that looks interesting to me. This fits. And it will also help as you go through to confirm whether or not this is something you want to do. And again, we'll look at the modules, but as you go through the modules, wow, I really identify with those modules and these ones. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't have to do that in my job. That will help with deciding on, hey, there's all these job positions out there. That's the kind of niche I want to go to, maybe not these two other things. This will help with that.
It sounds, in addition to, gaining a professional certificate here, you're also going to be gaining an understanding of your specialty area of interest. And what an important thing to know coming out of a program like this and looking at the job market and looking to grow your career, but having that better understanding of really what it is you're looking for. We do career preparation components here. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the session, but that's a lot of what folks will be doing here in the program, as well as speaking with their peers and their teaching team about their specialty areas of interest and about navigating these various aspects and building a career journey that really best is tailored for you and for your area of interest. So very excited about this program, and to learn more about it, we've arrived at the program overview. This is where we dive into those details. What are the overarching learning objectives for this program? What are you going to be learning, sort of those key takeaways by the end? And then what are the details within each of these parts? So as you make your way through this 7-month program, what are we going to be doing? What's that arc of learning across time as we make our way through? So I'm going to hand it over to you now, Dr. Frey, to take us away here in the program overview. One final reminder here as we make our way through this part, especially if you have any questions for Dr. Frey, please do put them there in the question and answer box. We're going to be getting to those questions here towards the end of the session. So with that, Dr. Frey, over to you for our program overview, starting with the key takeaways for this course.
Yeah, so each one of the modules has its own learning outcomes. And because this is not just a real world kind of program, right? This is academically rigorous. And so we have learning objectives that we set forth for every one of those modules. But if you roll all those up and you say, okay, what is this really going to do? We like words like understand and identify and foster. We like those types of words as action words. So I'll take you through these really quickly, and you can read slides as well as I can. So I won't necessarily read them, but if you say understand the roles and responsibilities of HR, talk about that. Honestly, we hit every piece part. There might be a module in there, you go, how does that apply? It applies. And when you get into the real world, you'll look at it and go, oh, I am so glad we talked about this. Identify best practices. So that's another thing. If you go to someone that's an HR professional and you say, wow, I'm going through this certificate program, and they're going to say, did you talk about blah, blah, blah? Did you talk about this thing or that thing? And that component, somebody's going to ask, well, did you go over this or that and the other thing? And I go, yeah, we did. Actually, we did an assignment on that. And look what I did on that. So we really do it's the greatest hits of almost a couple things obligatory, as in, hey, look, this is a best practice. This best practice is something that you need to know about. We need to touch on it. You need to understand it. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But if you get to the end of the certificate and you don't know this thing, someone's going to go, that certificate probably wasn't that big of a deal because you didn't see this thing. And so we do that. Best practices. And it's a lot of those, right? You can read again as well as I can. Foster the organizational mindset, coaching, employee feedback, high performance culture. This is important. The high performance culture kind of couches almost the entire thing. Companies, corporations today have embraced that. Gone are the days of getting by. We live in a world, whether it's epidemic, it's political, it's societal, all of those things push and pull on organizations, and they're doing the best they can to get done what they need to get done. But gone are the days of stepping on employees in order to get ahead as a company. That's gone. And hallelujah that it is. So what we're doing is, in this, we really push throughout the whole thing, again, that human side of work with employee feedback, coaching, productivity. We even have modules on emotional intelligence personally for the individuals that are going through it, so they understand what they could take their organization through or what organizations are going through. Analytical frameworks. So if you, again, back to the greatest hits, some of this as a human, as interaction, you're in HR already, you get some of this stuff. This is just what you do day to day. But what I find is interesting is somebody's researched that, and somebody has put a framework together, A, B, C, D, E, And they've put that together in a nice little package, and it's got an acronym along with it. And you're doing it already, but now this gives you language to what you do. This says, wow, I didn't even know that was a framework that I can use. And I was doing most of that, but that one I wasn't doing. And now I have something that I can say, oh, look, they put it up on the wall. That's what I follow right there every time this happens. Develop competency in employee care strategies, ethical leadership, roles and responsibilities, and navigating ethical issues. Can't go through an HR certificate without having an ethical component. HR has access to a lot of data. So we talk about that technology-driven aspect. I also at Rice teach the data-driven business. I'm on the emotional intelligence, human resources side, but I'm also on the data side. And I know where those two come together, and I know what needs to happen. But human resources also has access to everyone's emotions, has access to everyone's heart, to their job as well. So we talk about that and the responsibility and the heavy weight and the gravitas that carries along with it as an HR professional. And then at the end, there, the last bullet, assess a variety of talent management approaches and create a corporate workforce strategy. This is a capstone project, if you will. This is a culmination. So when I design programs, again, I want them to be real world, and I don't want all this work to be done. And at the end you go, oh, okay, now I've got this big test I have to take. Or now it's what really I feel like should be happening is you should be developing a portfolio of work as you move along. In module 1 or 2 or 3, you develop this thing, and it's something that you could show in an interview. It's something that you could show a boss. It's something you could actually use your current organization as data for and actually have an impact on your current organization. So you build that. And then the next couple modules, you build something else and something else. At the end of the program, that is a culmination that you can stitch together, and you'll see that common thread run through with a little bit of more work and some language around it. Now you've got a package, and that package is a workforce planning strategy, which really incorporates everything we just talked about. What frameworks are you going to use? How are you going to do employee coaching, communication, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like I talked for a long time on these, but I wanted to make sure that you got the idea of really what is happening. These aren't just words on the screen. Again, we can read them. It's actually what happens as you go through the program.
So let's get a little bit further into the details here. So these are those key takeaways. Each of the parts of this program has its own set of objectives. So as we make our way through these parts, there are 4 of these key parts. I'm going to hand it over to you for these next 4 slides to let you describe that through line of logic in terms of how you design this program and what students are going to be doing at the first part of the course, how that will unfold across time.
Yeah, 4 parts, 4 main parts. So if you think about that, and the first one is humans and how they work. So if you look at those modules, there's 6 modules in there, and HR fundamentals is basically the overview, and we're going to go through in that all of the modules. But then I mentioned that EI component, that emotional intelligence. This is both external and introspective. How can you know how to lead an organization through this if you don't understand it yourself? So we go through that. Business acumen, there is some feedback in the business world that some HR individuals enter their job, and some are in there, and you may know one of these folks or more, hopefully not, but you may have those individuals where you've seen them and they're working there and they don't necessarily understand all the parts of the business. And so what we want to do is make sure that, hey, HR has to interact with everything, all parts of the business. It doesn't really matter what it is. So you're over all those employees. What are all those pieces, parts, and how does that break down? And honestly, that module in and of itself is gold. You can pull that back out and go, hey, do you want to understand what a business is? Oh, that module right there. And so that's going to take you through all those. Then we talk about the future of work and culture. So we've put those 2 together a little bit. The future of work brings in some of the stuff that we were talking about before with technology, but also how organizations are moving, trends. There's work from home. There's lots of different things. So the future really does that. And then culture is that high performance culture. We wanted to hit that pretty early in this. So again, how humans work, overview of HR, some EI stuff, the business itself, the future of business and how that works, and then the high performance culture that kind of culminates to that. So that's part 1. how humans work. Part two, then we said, okay, we've got that culture that we're looking at. We're leaning into and leaning towards that high performance culture. And this is really where we get into that. What does a high performance organization, how does it engage? What does it do? So performance management, I said, gone are the days of some heads down coders. Well, also gone are the days of very regimented performance appraisal programs, where yearly you have goals, you go and you sit, you talk about those goals, and you come back. And there are organizations that are still doing that. But if you're a high performance organization, you're really looking into doing some other things with that. And that's a whole another performance management module that then trickles down into, how do you do employee relations? Okay, this is how you do it. Then what does the communication look like? Then you communicate this, no longer again as the appraisal, it's more of a coaching. So how do we do coaching, and how do we do feedback, continual feedback? And then we dropped in HR analytics. And again, it's a lean towards the next section. But if you think about that performance and coaching, and then you've got coaching and feedback, there's 2 modules on that. That's because individuals will actually be doing some coaching. Again, as an HR professional, you can read about what coaching is. You can have a coach, things can happen. If you're going to work on this with an organization, you should probably do it. And so we have a module in there on how to coach an individual, and you find a couple folks and you do it with them, and you talk about their reaction and your reaction and how that worked. And again, that's something that as you go through a program, have you ever engaged in any performance management before? Oh yeah, I've coached some individuals. Oh, you have? Yeah. I'm not a licensed coach, and you all would love, if you want to do, you don't have time during this program, but if you want to go give you a licensed coach at some point in time, absolutely. But this is going to get you some exposure to that. And then analytics, so much is being tracked about us as individuals around a corporation. Everything is being tracked. Some folks step counts, and not just when they check in the morning and check out, but every email they send or keystroke they make. So we have to look at, what does that mean for an organization? And then how do we track that? And what does it look like? We have those. So again, that foreshadows to part 3. And part 3 is success and employee care. We mentioned, hey, analytics, we mentioned tracking. Why don't we hit ethics right after that and talk about, we don't talk about it. We got to talk about analytics here. Let's create a whole module and make sure you understand the ethics about that and lots of other things. So this is success, and then really employee care. We talked about communication. We talked about the overview of HR, but DE&I is a huge subject right now. And I could almost put DEI and B in there, belonging. That's the new thing. We will with diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging is tucked up underneath there. And we talk about it during change management and learning and development and some other things. Change management. And organization, you've been through change, whether you're part of an organization that's been through it or you've been through it yourself, you've been through change, you know what that's. There are steps and ways to take an organization through change management. And arguably, there are some other parts of the organization that attempt to take that over from human resources, and they should not. Human resources should be the group that really manages that. And so we go into that and talk about that. L&D, learning and development. And then we talk about HR tools and software, which is a really great module. I'm not saying they're all great, but I really like that one because I know those tools and I understand what the future of those are. And if you are not familiar with the tools, hey, what are some HR tools I should know? Or what are people using to track this and that and the other thing? If you're looking for that information, that module right there is going to give you the entire overview and tell you what you need to know. And then we touch on workforce planning here, module 18. Again, I told you that capstone project is that workforce planning. What you don't know throughout this homework and throughout this system so far with these 18 modules is you've been building a workforce plan all along. When you talk about, how am I going to communicate? How are we going to affect change? What's my coaching system going to look like? And you go through that. So workforce planning, we touched there. And then that leans again into the next part 4, which is really workforce management. So that's the next slide with part 4. And there we really hit the parts of workforce planning, workforce management. even though all of those sections really flow into that, these will hit that like talent acquisition, right? How do you get talent? Employee engagement, how do you keep talent? Compensation is a big part of that. Benefits is a huge part of that. And then we cap it off with the capstone project. And that's this workforce planning that we talked about. Again, almost every section of the entire certificate, and I'm trying to think through it. Yeah, every section of the certificate really does have a piece part in that capstone project that you can bring in and use. So hopefully that gives you all an overview. She was mentioning to put some questions in the chat and things, and I'd love to answer some questions about any of that specifics if necessary.
Yeah, thank you for taking us through these modules. We're going to get to the learning experience here in just a moment, where we'll talk more about how we're bringing this to life, what that day-to-day experience like. But to start the conversation about the learning experience, I would love to hear your perspectives about some of the case studies and industry examples that have been incorporated. And I think one of the interesting areas with case study analysis is it really allows you to take an organization, really analyze it from all different angles, see challenges, things that were successful, and then map that framework onto your own challenges, your own organization, your own industry. So case study analysis can help us with having broad applicability. So we're able to lift a lot of key themes and apply them to other business cases, other industries, and other areas. How does this course use case study analysis and industry examples to really enrich the learning experience?
Yeah, it uses it like I use all of my courses, and here's how it works. I could hand you, I've got some stuff on my desk right now that I could show you. I could hand you a case study from 10 years ago, and you could read it and you could go, oh, and then you could say, what would you do in this situation? And you make something interesting up and you say, this is what I would do. And you go, oh, that's interesting. We talk about it and that'd be fun. And that would give you an idea of if you ever had that example crop up, that this is what you would do. The world is changing so quickly that honestly, what we do in these modules sometimes is we say, you got a couple homeworks. I got a couple. I don't want to scare anybody off, but let's say you had two. The first one would be, hey, find a news article about a company over the last week or two that had an incident where this happened. And we explain it and we go off and we do that. And or use your current company as an example, or use a brand that you connect with, one that you use all the time. You've got a product sitting on your desk, or you got one in your hand or your purse or something. Use and look their incident up that happened, good or bad, or look that up and talk about that. And you communicate that with other individuals that are taking the course, right? You go through that. And then the next one is, now you're the HR manager there. What do you do? Given the fact that I just told you, here's some frameworks, here's some ideas, what would you do in that situation? And then you would bring that up, and then we give you feedback on that and say, wow, that's good. We're not necessarily bringing up, we've got some classic things that we use, right? This is timeless. This is going to happen. These are things. But for the most part, we're attempting to poke at what's happening in the business world today in the realm of human resources and bring up those real world examples and talk about, wow, you are this individual. Even one quick thing, another specific example I'll give is making a mission vision statement for an organization, making it more applicable to humans. So you can go out and you can see companies that have a statement, and you can say that doesn't involve people at all. Hey, human resources may not have been at the table when that mission and vision was created. What if it was? What would you change it to, that organization? We all do. What would you change that to? That's really good exercise, because at some point in time, these individuals, hopefully you get into a position where you're at the table, where you're helping shape a mission or vision of an organization. And to go through that exercise and think about it multiple times, once you get in, you go, yeah, I've done this before. I know what this is like. This is what I would do, and have that. So I want to almost tools in the toolkit, arrows in the quiver, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be a lot of those experiences, and we use specific cases to be able to draw those out and have those in your back pocket so that when you do approach that at a company, you can pull that out and go, oh, I've done this before. This is what I would do in this situation.
Yeah, I love that the case studies are used in this program to keep the relevancy and to keep the learning current. So this is not a static program where you're simply watching videos and doing frameworks and assignments, but really a challenge to, this is a reciprocal learning environment. You're coming in with your skills, your experience, your knowledge, your expertise. You're contributing that as well as receiving knowledge and expertise. And you're doing that all around current events, what's relevant now. And that's in the very design of the program, is to keep it evergreen. So no two cohorts are going to be the same.
Correct.
And that's one of the strengths of the program, is that relational component. It's very much embedded into the curriculum. We're talking about humans, but we're also demonstrating that in the way that we've designed this learning experience, really human focused, really relevant, current, and designed to give you that reciprocity of learning that we know works really well in an executive education environment. This is a huge element to the program. I know the other part of it too is guest speakers. These folks better than I do, Dr. Frey. How have you incorporated various industry voices and experts into the program curriculum beyond just your own videos that you've recorded for the program?
Yeah, I figured as we go through it, I know I wouldn't want to necessarily listen to me the entire time for all these modules. And even though I have expertise across pretty much all of them, the modules, I know in a few different areas that there are some individuals that when instead of just consulting with them and going, okay, how would you do this? And they tell me, I go, hey, could you tell them instead of me? So Catherine, she knows people really well, and she studied them for a long time. And she was an individual that I actually used as a coach here and there to understand people a little bit more. So she's there. She basically takes over an entire module. Man, I might do an intro and exit, but it's her, and she's going to talk to you all about that. And then Stephen, we tag team. So I'll do a little bit of a module. He'll do a little bit of case study at Amazon. He was a human resources manager for a startup that I had. He was there, and he was good. He's a good guy, and he knows what he's doing. As evidenced by after we sold that company, he went and moved to Amazon, and he works there now. He's part of a large organization. It was a steal to get him even for the day to be able to do this together, honestly. Wendy has her own company where she goes out and she consults with HR companies. And then Brian, we brought him in on ethics. And we brought him in on real world situations that he has seen. And what would you do in that situation? And sometimes sometimes there is no answer. And so we actually sit side by side, and he says, Jeff, what would you do here? And I go, oh my gosh, I have no idea. And he's like, yeah, it's a wrong answer. Whatever you said, wrong there, because there's no right. Here's the only things you can do. And so he and I literally sit in two chairs, and he throws stuff out at me on, oh, I've seen this before. I've seen this before. And you go, wow, really? Yeah. So let's talk about that. And then Allison, she is at a big consulting firm, and all she does all day is go in and help people with their tech in human resources. So she takes over, even though I'm a tech guy. I'm not up with, hey, what happened yesterday in the tech world? She is. So she comes in and she talks about that. So each one of these individuals, humans, ethics, coaching, technology, I was able to bring them in, and there's very specific modules, and get a real deep dive into what's happening right now. And their voices are stronger than mine in those areas. And we're able to do that. There's a lot more. I will say these are the guest speakers. You'll see those faces. You'll hear their voices, right? There's 10, 20 more that are in the background that have helped me with the other modules. They're just not on camera. And so we were fortunate to get these individuals to help us out with this certificate.
Thank you again, Dr. Frey, for putting this course together and for staying with us here to tell us all about it. I know you're going to stay through the end. We've got some questions coming in, so we'll answer those questions here towards the end. But for now, I'm going to dive into the learning experience, tell folks a little bit about how we bring this course to life, And what's the advantage of taking this course? I think this is one of the questions we see here. What's the advantage of taking this program over, for example, going and getting a master's degree at a university or institution? How is this program really set apart, and what are some of those advantages? So we'll get to some of that here as we talk about the learning experience, but please do put questions in the Q&A. We're going to be closing out here in about 15 minutes or so. We want to make sure we have a chance to get to all of your questions. So let's talk about the learning experience. We spoke a moment ago about this course being this kind of four-part course. It takes 10 to 15 hours a week. So in terms of looking ahead at your schedule, you're looking to identify that 10 to 15 hours. But what does that really mean? What are the tactical components here? So at the beginning of each week or module, we release a set of content, and that content contains asynchronous videos. These are on-demand lectures from your guest speakers and your program faculty. You can watch these as many times as you need to around a schedule that works for you at your own pace, where you really grasp those core frameworks. From there, you'll step away and you'll do other asynchronous activities there, including discussion boards, activities, triad exercises, some of these capstone building projects that we talked about. You'll be working on those throughout the week, all together in cadence with your peers. So you're working on this set of content together, but your individual daily schedules is yours to design. Some of the synchronous learning components, we have live office hours and live webinars, such as this one here, throughout the program as well. Those are all scheduled in advance. You'll have plenty of time to work those into your calendar. And we record all of those and put them into the platform the next day, very much like this webinar here. It's going to be available on demand. You can watch it anytime throughout the remainder of your time in the program and have that simulated live experience. So even if you do have to miss one of those live sessions, you'll have a chance to make it up. So that gives you a basic understanding. Again, you're looking for 10 to 15 hours a week, and you're able to design that around a schedule that works for you. So this course is not only highly relational, we talked about all of the different people that you'll be meeting, the guest speakers and faculty, the ways in which you'll be engaging with your peers. You have that high relational component, but you also maintain that high level of convenience, allowing you to take this program alongside your job, your family responsibilities, your personal and professional lives. So that's the overall learning experience as you think of what we're doing here from week to week, really releasing that set of content, and you and your peers on that weekly cadence are going through that content together. Here are some of the highlights as you think about the learning experience. Again, you'll gain that faculty expertise, that incredible wealth of knowledge, these unique insights from real world practitioners, guest speakers, and managers bringing this right into this program. You'll build a job-ready portfolio. So all along the way, you're going to be building that portfolio. All of the activities and exercises are aimed at collating into this portfolio that you can then showcase on the job market. This is going to be a collection of management strategies, dashboards, reflections, other documentations to show what future employers, what you are capable of. You're going to get that industry-specific knowledge in the program, application-based learning, professional development every step of the way. We're going to prepare you to launch or accelerate your career. You have success coaching, career guidance, and mentorship all throughout the program. Some of those career components are optional, but others are assignments that are embedded into the work of the course that really help propel your career. As you think about all the different relationships that you're building here in this program, I like to think of it as these sort of concentric circles. You have yourself as a learner, you have your peers who you're learning together with and from. They represent all different geographies, different industry areas, different levels of work experience, and really coming shoulder to not only gain these deep insights in the program, but really broaden your landscape of understanding, really broaden that out as you learn from your peers and you see them bringing their learning to life in their context as well. So of yourself, your peers, a layer beyond that, you have your teaching team. These are course leaders, industry experts who've been hand-selected to come into this program and serve as your daily teaching guides. You also have career success coaches that you'll be meeting and working with throughout your time in the program. The course leaders give you individualized feedback on all of your assignments. They're on the discussion boards with you and your peers, helping to push your thinking and drive engagement. And of course, if you have any questions, they're hosting office hours, a chance for you to come in, just like we heard from Dr. Frey, bring in your specialty areas of interest, bring in your challenges, get that real world context, talk about the niche areas of interest that you're exploring. If you're looking for additional resources beyond the scope of the program, come to office hours where you can crowdsource with your teaching team and your peers and gain those additional resources. So you have your course leaders there. And then you have your faculty, as well as guest speakers involved in the curriculum design, and a layer beyond that, this broader community here that you're joining at Rice. So a lot of different layers to this ecosystem, but you're certainly going to have a chance to broaden out your professional network and get face-to-face with key players in the industry. This course does culminate in a chance for you to earn a certificate of completion. This is a formal credential from Rice that will help to showcase your learning in this area of human resources management. Those of you looking to springboard into career advancement opportunities will certainly go a long way by having this formal credential here from Rice. You can put this on your social media, your LinkedIn, bring it in with you with a job interview, and really, again, just showcasing your learning here and giving you that formal recognition. So let's go ahead and get to our last and final slide. And so we're going to open up for questions. This is where we talk about next steps. If there's any component to the course that we haven't gotten to yet, if you have any questions, let us know now. We'll be getting to those here. But the next step for you is to get connected with an advisor if you haven't done so already. As I mentioned earlier in the segment, we want to make sure that high level of support and relationship building that is in the program begins right here with watching today's session and getting connected with an advisor. And so the way that you do that is over on the course page, and you'll see on your screen here, this slide is a screen grab of the course page. This is what it looks like when you get there. And to get to that course page, you can use the QR code. If you have a smartphone, you can hold it up to that QR code there and go right over to the course page. You can also use that short link at the top right of your screen there as well. And there on the course page, you'll be able to do 3 things. You can see that list of options there on the right of your screen. You can get more information by downloading the full course brochure. It's a beautifully designed, comprehensive outline of this course. So if you want to study ahead, learn more about the syllabus, and really read those learning objectives with more careful detail, you can download that brochure and go ahead and get started. You can schedule a call with an advisor. This is where you get connected with an advisor. One click away there, you can find a time that works for you in your time zone, and a program advisor will give you a call. You can ask our program advisors anything about the program. They're the course experts in all the logistics. For example, when does this course start? What's the start date? When are those live webinars? I want to get them on my calendar. They can help walk you through those components. And then, of course, the registration and enrollment process. They'll help you walk you through that application process. If you're looking to explore flexible and transparent payment options, they can walk you through some of those. We have a generous 21-day refund policy on the program. We have a special group enrollment pricing, early benefits, and other transparent and flexible payment options. They can walk you through some of those, as well as that referral program that we have, and tell you more about those pieces. And then finally, the third thing you can do here from the course page is go ahead and start that application. You can click on register now and register for the program. So a lot in store there for you on the course page, but please do get connected with an advisor. They are going to be that one-on-one support that you need as you talk through whether or not this course is really the right fit for you, and any of those questions you have about the registration and enrollment process. So if you need to grab the link out of the chat box, we invite you to open up the chat box. You'll see we posted the link there as well. So again, you can get it there on your screen using the QR code, the short link, or find that link in the chat box over to the course page. So with that, I want to invite our professor back in for any final thoughts, words of wisdom. I think we've gotten to most of our questions here. We answered the question live about what sets this program apart from other learning opportunities, but maybe that's a good place to start with our audience questions, Dr. If you'd like to touch on that as well. You put this course together. It's a professional online certificate. And of course, you're also at Rice University. You're very heavily involved there on campus. So could you talk a little bit about what might set this program apart from other in-person or longer term learning opportunities on campus? So let's go ahead and close out today's session. I think we've lost our professor here, so we won't be able to close out with him. I think he may have dropped the call by accident here, maybe with some technical challenges. But if you do, oh, yep, I'm just getting a message now from my program support team letting me know that he's facing network issues. So I'm so sorry about that, Dr. Frey. But I can speak to some of this. I think what we touched on earlier to answer your question, Jenna, is you posed this question: what's going to get a professional certificate versus getting a master's here at Rice University? And what I can tell you is that more so than ever before, We're no longer looking at executive education as an episodic approach to learning. So in other words, leaving your geography, leaving your professional role for a year, 2 years, 3 years in order to travel away to university and have this intensive learning environment where you might also get face-to-face with peers and colleagues, but you might lose the opportunity to really integrate your learning into your professional role while you learn it. And so that's really what this executive education program is designed to do, allow you to stay in your current role and really fold this program in and integrate this program in as this overall lifelong learning journeys. And that's really what sets this program apart. We're seeing micro-credentials and online certifications growing in notoriety across the globe, particularly post-COVID. So more so than ever before, we're seeing a high level of value in courses that are highly skilled, highly polished courses such as this one that allow you to learn in real time while also integrating your learning into your other responsibilities and professional roles. You don't have to leave the work that you're doing in order to go and learn and then try and come back in to industry, but you're able to really integrate this together. So that's one of the key components. I'll let our program advisors follow up with you as well after today's session to talk more with you about some of those distinctions. But it's a great question, and we encourage you to keep asking great questions. That's what makes a great course. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close out today's session. We're reaching the top of the hour now, but we invite you again, go ahead and take that link out of the chat. You can use the QR code there or the short link on your screen and get connected with an advisor if you haven't done so already. Otherwise, we hope to see you back in the program beginning just around the corner. Thank you all again for your time and attention. It's been a great honor and privilege learning shoulder to shoulder with each and every one of you here today. Very pleased to have you as a member of our lifelong learning community here at Emeritus. With that, we will be closing out today's session with a heartfelt good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day to all of you from around the globe. Thanks again for joining, and we will see you back soon. Bye-bye.